Hi, I'm back. We're going to talk about issues, and issues hopefully is going to be something you're going to pay close attention to because writing the issues for your memorandum of law is your assignment this week. Okay, so the issue statement is a question. It's called a statement, but it's a question. Put a question mark at the end of it. It is the question that you are seeking an answer to. So sometimes you're starting generally, and then as you research, you're going to be able to make your issue question more specific. And of course, it's very rare that there is only one issue. Sometimes, you just get a very simple memorandum assignment and there's one issue, but a lot of times there's a big issue and sub-issues or multiple issues. And one of the things that you are going to be doing as you read through fact patterns is what we call issue spotting. So you go through this and you're like, oh, well, what legal issues come up here? And you're like, okay, look, we have criminal law issues. We have immigration, we have, you look through and start doing your legal analysis and trying to spot these issues. Okay. And always put it in the form of a question. Okay, so there's different kinds of issue formats, and what we're going to be working on in our long final project, we're going to do the long format. So you kind of have your legal issue with specific facts for your case, and you're going to use that. So, a short question might be, what are the elements for something or other? So, for a certain cause of action. But for our long format is based upon blah, 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 blah. Is this cause of action sustainable or something along those lines? After you complete your memo, go back and rewrite your issues or you complete your research. Always check your issues and say, is this really how I want my issue to read? And make sure you're not giving me an issue that is something that's going to be addressed by the jury. Is the defendant guilty or is this party guilty? Right? You want your researching or your issues in a legal research memorandum are issues of law, not issues that, have to be resolved by a jury, by the fact finder. Okay. If you're doing a persuasive writing, you're going to kind of use persuasive words. Did the defendant's reckless acts constitute negligence? Something along those lines, right? So you're saying you're kind of using bad words and trying to persuade the research even in the question that you're asking. Okay, so then we have your analysis section, and depending upon the kind of writing that you are writing, it's going to have a different title. Okay, so it can be discussion or analysis if it's a predictive form. If it is in a persuasive writing, it would be your argument. Okay, make sure we use our headings, right, our point headings to divide up our analysis into whatever particular issues or sub-issues you're dealing with. And I think we've talked about this before, but, lawyers and legal professionals and judges, they're lazy. They want to get to what they're interested in first, and they want it really obvious. Okay, so help them out. Say this is what this section says, and they'll appreciate it. Okay, so in each little section in your analysis or discussion or whatever we're calling it, should have your thesis paragraph and then a body and then your conclusion. Okay, so make sure your summary paragraph is what we're talking about as our thesis paragraph. Make sure it's clear to what you're talking about in there. Use your topic sentence. Make sure you are explaining the factual and legal authority that supports your position. Well, I don't know why why this is... I talk about the arbitrator, probably because I was using this in a labor forum, but the desired decision of, I don't really like that. I have to change that. But anyway, make sure you are, talking about what in a predictive memorandum, what is the potential way that the court is going to rule. Headings, they help the reader and the writer. So if we're talking about a search and seizure issue, and we go to probable cause is, one. And then you have your discussion on probable cause. And then you'd have your discussion on whatever the scope of the warrant is. So you're separating it out by the sub-issues. But make sure it's clear what issue you're addressing in your thesis paragraph or your topic sentences as well. 321 in Hamies, we have one. That's not what I want either. So 321. Okay, so we have here's our heading, statement of assignment. Here's our facts, our issue, and look at our topic. See, there's our headings, and this is just your thesis paragraph, and then we have all of these separate subheadings, A, B, C, and then we will have our conclusion. So that's kind of a basic memo that is like an awesome format. Make sure you state the law and then give your cite. 323. What is it? Is it a primary law? Is it a case law? Okay, here's our facts, right? And here's our issue. Here's my discussion. Okay, rule of law governing participation in criminal street gang is found in this section, right? Under this code section, here's my text of it, and here's my cite. And then they're talking about their elements. And these elements are discussed in these cases, right? They have to have involvement that is more than nominal or passive. And this is what this court has held. And you don't need a leadership position. And then you find out what your... this is a pretty good way of organizing it. So you're doing your rules, right? So this is telling me what the California Penal Code section says and the cases that interpret it. And here's my application of my facts to the rules. So this is Johnston. He did actively participate in it with knowledge. And then they applying this rule to our facts. And this is one way he did it, and this is another way he did it. And then my conclusion is that, yep, he actively participated in the criminal street gang. Right? Under Illinois you get a motion for summary judgment if there's no genuine issue of material fact right? So law and then cite. Statutory law, we talked about this a second ago, we do elements, and then for case law, we're going to be comparing the facts of the cited case to our case. Okay. The conclusion, you're going to answer the issue statement, the issue questions, and make sure you actually state that in the conclusion. Don't just come up with some other thing. Even if you've said your answer prior in the discussion, answer it in the conclusion as well, because the reader might be just skipping down to the conclusion before they read your analysis or discussion section. Okay, so recap all your issues and the summary of the answer. And then when we're doing our internal memorandum, make sure we are including our recommendations. Okay, conclusion, if the facts are X, it's likely that the court will rule this way. The law leans here, but make sure there's credible law to support the other argument. So there's different kinds of legal memorandum. You might have a complex one or you might have a simple one. That may have been an example of a simple one that we looked at in the Hamies textbook. But a complex one will have other stuff. And it's not in a chapter that you've been assigned yet, but you might want to look at it when you're looking at the Memorandum of Law assignment, this module. But the complex has additions like a table of contents and a table of authorities and a heading and an appendix. So if you go to page 193, 3 is, I think, really what your outline is going to look like. And then on page 191, it talks a little, you have like what a table of contents in there would look like, and 192 is the table of authorities. So that is going to be your model for your memorandum of law assignment in this class. Your table of contents has major topic headings and the pages that they appear on. So they talk about that on page 191. Table of authorities are all the authorities that you're citing in the document. Obviously, this stuff you do at the end because you don't have the pages things start on or all the authorities you're assigning until you finish writing this. Okay, you have this one. It has a summary of issues and conclusions. So you write out all your legal issues and you put your conclusion right up front in the beginning section. Okay, an appendix is if you are relying on other supporting documents, if there's affidavits or medical records or photos or a prior motion or even a code section, whatever you want, you can put that in the appendix at the end. It's unnecessary for our paper, but if you'd like to add things in the appendix, you may. It's really just used so that if you're referring to things outside of the document, the reader just has a quick way to access it without like going through the file. Remember to use your active voice. So we've done all our research. What's the next step? You want to go back to the original assignment. Go back and look. What the heck are they asking for? Have I answered all the questions that the assigner has given me? Is the research I performed thorough? Have I gotten, researched all the issues? Have I researched all the potential sources, all the cases or all the statutes and anything else I should be looking at? Is it current? If it's cases, have I shepherdized it? If it's statutes, have I looked in the pocket parts to make sure that something new hasn't happened since that version that I'm looking at in the book? Okay, and if all those questions are yes, then you can start writing. Okay, when you're writing, you want to determine your audience. Is it a predictive memorandum? Your audience is internal. Is it a persuasive memorandum writing? Then your audience will be the court. How long should it be? Is it just a quickie, like those simple memorandum, or is it complex? What citation format are we using? We use the Blue Book or we're using University of Chicago. We were always just using Blue Book, really. What are my deadlines? Is my deadline, tomorrow or is it 2 months from now? So make sure you're aware of deadlines so that you can budget your time accordingly. Okay, one of the things that I don't want you to forget about, because when we're doing this predictive memorandum, this internal memo, that we have to present not just the strength, the law that's good for our client. We have to make sure we make the reader aware of law that goes against our client's position. Okay, we're acting as a devil's advocate. So that, just like I was talking about earlier in the lecture, you can't blindside people. The audience has to have a realistic picture of the law. So force yourself to find arguments on both sides. And when you look at the rubric for our final memorandum of law, I have that in there. It says, is counter-analysis present? So remember to think of the devil's advocate as well as being an advocate for your client. Okay, so don't forget to do these other module activities, these exercises. The issue, so this will be helpful for you, the Cali lesson on issue statements, because you're writing issues for your homework, okay? And there's your memorandum of law, and then it talks in the assignment section about what your homework is, which is creating those issues. Bring a hard copy of the issues to our next lab, and I'm going to basically meet with you guys one-on-one and hammer out your issues with you. So put in a good effort so that all I have to do is say, yes, great issues. All right, guys, you have a great one, and I will chat with you next week.